All right, microphone test. All right, microphone test. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, and today we're going to play something a little bit different and interesting. I'm going to give people a second to get in here before I start doing this deck tech, because this deck is a little bit odd. So I have the deck list up here as well as below the stream. And I'm just going to wait a minute or two before starting to talk about this. Hey, Rec42, thank you for your third month of support in a row. I really do appreciate it. It motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing for the Legacy scene. Speaking of, I have a tournament report from a friend of mine from GP Seattle that will be coming out probably tomorrow afternoon. I got most of the way through doing the formatting and editing today, but I just did not get to it last week when he initially gave it to me. But that should be out either tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. A little overdue, but it'll be a good read nonetheless. Hey Phil, longtime watcher on YouTube, huge fan of your content. Heavenly Thunder, I'm glad you finally got to catch me live for a change then. Welcome. Tonight's deck is weird. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm just gonna kind of refresh my page here, see how many people I have joined already. One? That's not right. Let's try refreshing that again and get that count. Also one. Okay, that's weird, but whatever. Maybe my counter's not working for some reason. All right, I'm going to start by kind of talking conceptually about like where I got this idea. So Bahra Mark Koenig has been testing a Hollowed Spirit Keeper deck that he has dubbed Spicy Popcorn for, you know, reasons completely unintelligible to anyone who wasn't watching that stream. Hollowed Spirit Keeper reads, whenever it dies, create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. This is not a card that seems explicitly powerful. But when paired with all of the creatures that are normally dying in your deck, when this thing dies, realistically, in the course of a game that runs late, you might end up getting like 6 spirit tokens from this dying, and that's not really an exaggeration. Even if it's something more reasonable, like, you know, 3 or 4 spirit tokens, that's still huge. If this thing connects a couple of times and then produces a bunch of spirits, like, it's doing really great work. Now, someone that goes by the handle Lord Darkview sent me an idea that said, like, hey, Mark's been playing around this Hollowed Spirit Keeper. I wonder if we can do better. What if we play that alongside Cataclysm? And he wasn't quite sure what to do with, like, the rest of the deck, so he left that to me. So this is my attempt at building a Cataclysm and Hollowed Spirit Keeper deck. So how do I want to do this? So Cataclysm reads, each player chooses an artifact, creature, enchantment, and land, and sacrifices the rest. So ideally, you would like to play cards that want to be sacrificed, or that give you value when sacrificed. You also ideally would love to keep an artifact, creature, enchantment, and a land in the process of when you are doing this, so that you come out way, way ahead of the Cataclysm. So in order to do this, I've made some changes to the traditional D&T land base. I'm playing Flagstones of Trocaire so that when this thing dies, I can just get a Plains and put that onto the battlefield tapped, and I'm playing Dunes of the Dead. When it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, I create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So, from my lands alone, when I cast a Cataclysm, I am hoping to keep a Plains, get a Plains, and a 2/2 zombie. I am also hoping to keep an Ether Vial and a creature from this. Maybe also an enchantment, because I'm playing 2 copies of Honor of the Pure and 2 copies of Spirit of the Labyrinth. So in an ideal world, I keep one land, sacrifice one of each of these, maybe multiple Dunes of the Dead, who knows, and then I keep like an Honor of the Pure or a Spirit, you know, a Vial, and like a Thalia or something like that. Honor of the Pure happens to work really, really well with Hallowed Spirit Keeper as well, turning those like 1/1 white spirit tokens into 2/2 white spirit tokens, which is considerably better. Otherwise, we're playing a lot of the traditional D&T shell. I've made a couple of notable changes. I'm running Judge's Familiars and Selfless Spirits in this build, because those are creatures that can sacrifice themselves, put themselves into the graveyard, so that I can fuel the whole like Hallowed Spirit Keeper shenanigans even better. Embarrassingly, I could not find a 4th Hallowed Spirit Keeper, so I will be running 3 of those tonight, and I'll make some substitution in just a moment. You know, this is a weird like commander-only card, and just I checked like 12 bots before I started the stream, and I just could not find a 4th. Which is unfortunate, because that's, you know, one of the big linchpin cards of this deck, but it is very possible that just running 4 of those is too many still. The sideboard is a lot of the traditional D&T stuff. I have additional removal, I have some combo hate. I decided if I'm going to do this whole, like, Dunes of the Dead, Flagstone shenanigan type things, that I'd want to play a Crucible in the sideboard as well as a Ghost Quarter. So with the deck, we can't run Rest in Peace, right? Yeah. So Rest in Peace would shut off Flagstones, Dunes of the Dead, and Hallowed Spirit Keeper, so that is a big non-bow. So we're probably going to be a little bit softer to graveyard decks than we normally would. Which is unfortunate, but like, that's okay, that happens. This is also part of the reason why I'm running like Judge's Familiar, right? This is the sort of card that can be pretty good against your Reanimator style decks, like some of your like graveyard combo decks. We'll see whether or not I need more graveyard hate. Like, it's very possible that I should just run a 3rd Surgical here. And actually, that's what I might do, since I only have 3 Spirit Keepers. I might bring the 4th Swords to Plowshares back to the main deck. Let's see, that would leave me with 18... That would leave me with 24... Oh, no, I have the Judge's Familiars, too. Alright, so I still have plenty of creatures. Yeah, I can bring that Swords to Plowshares back and then maybe run 1 more Surgical. That might be good. Not really sure whether or not I should just like ram this Ghost Quarter into the main deck. Ghost Quarter can do something kind of cute with Flagstones. You can Ghost Quarter your own Flagstones, and then for Ghost Quarter's ability, you get to search for a Plains, and for Flagstone's ability, you get to search for a Plains. So that's kind of cool. It can be a weird mana fixer, but I don't really know that I want or need access to that for any reason. But I think in the post-sideboard games where I might want to bring in a Crucible, those are probably matchups where Ghost Quarter is going to be good anyway. So that's something that might be fun to try. This is kind of me continuing the process of trying out some alternate things just for the sake of gaining information about what sort of things are good ideas and what sort of things are bad ideas. Dunes of the Dead feels excessively ambitious. Ah, you're using my own word against me now. Basic Plains, you're probably not wrong. I don't know whether or not that is just going to be better than something like Rishadenport, but conceptually, I think that if you want to try an idea to see if it is good, you push that idea too far the first time you try it. And that's what I think I'm doing. I think I am probably pushing this idea too far. Is main deck Cataclysm good? Maybe not with all the Delver that's running around. But if I want to try out this, like, Hallowed Spirit Keeper, like, Cataclysm shell, then what I want to do is kind of, like, max out or close to max out on the overall idea, and then pull back to something more reasonable. It's kind of like when you want to test a new card in your deck, if you want to test a new card, don't just play one copy of it. Play an absurd number of copies. Like, play 3 or 4 copies of it, even if you know that's more than you want, so you draw it more often and you see what that card is like, especially when you're not playing, like, a blue cantrip-based deck. Yeah, so I don't think this deck is going to do well. I think I will probably like 2-3 with this deck, but I think this idea is very intriguing, and so I want to try this out. Like, there are probably some holes in the deck building that I'm not immediately noticing right now. Like, my sideboard configuration is probably weird. I probably don't have enough cards to go in and out for some matchups, but this is something that I am curious enough about that I want to try. I think there's a lot going for this idea, and if you've been watching Mark's streams in the past couple of weeks, there have been a lot of bumpy points. There have been a lot of matches or, even leagues that just went terribly because, like, we're going to try something out, we're going to learn from our mistakes. That's kind of what tonight's stream is. And then I'll probably have gotten this out of my system tonight, so Wednesday I'll return to some regular stuff. Depending on what people want to see, I'll probably either play some regular mono white D&T or Soldier Stompy on Wednesday. Those are the 2 things I'm floating around right now. All right, folks, I'm just going to kind of hang out for like 30 seconds here, grab a drink of water before I get started. If you have any last questions about the deck list or comments about what I'm trying to do, suggestions for other things that would play well in this shell, this is your opportunity to do so. I did some looking around for other things that had abilities like Hallowed Spirit Keeper, like when they die, they get to do something cool. But a lot of them are just in, like, different colors. I recall Bafra awkwardly cast an Ashiok versus a Jace the Mind Sculptor this morning. Ooh, that is rough. So Ashiok is kind of a neat card. I really like Ashiok as a card. I think it is a very good card in Legacy, but there's a problem with it. It's a win condition that dies to Red Elemental Blast, both on the stack and on the battlefield. And in the blue mirrors, that's not something you want to do. Now, in Bafra's deck, you're not going to board in Pyroblast against what he's doing, so that doesn't really matter, and I guess that makes it a playable card there. But, like, it doesn't go with the Vial plan. I don't think it goes with a lot else of what that deck is doing. I don't know that it has the required synergy. 1 High Market over 1 Dunes as another sack outlet. So I don't think I want to do that, although I understand the reasoning, because I don't have any way to, like, tutor for a land, right? So I think I can rely on Hallowed Spirit Keeper naturally dying and the Cataclysms to get that guy in the graveyard. And I think the situations where I both have a Hallowed Spirit Keeper and randomly draw the 1 of High Market will be few and far in between. And one other... Clearly what the deck is missing is Trading Post. I do really love Trading Post, folks. I am gaga for that card. If I wasn't on the let's not play too many artifacts train right now, you might convince me to do something stupid with Trading Post. Well thought out, better than my build. Good luck. Thank you. I do want to say something, just like ahead of time. This is my attempt at doing this in a mono white shell. If it looks like this has promise, then I will probably try this in a multicolored shell, because I think some things like Voice of Resurgence and Veteran Explorer and stuff of that general nature can go very, very, very well into this build. But this is me trying this as a mono white deck rather than a probably 2 to 4 color monstrosity. All right, let's get in there and see what we can do. Alright, let's play the Cataclysm build. Somehow I still have play points left after trying all of the terrible decks that I have played in the last week, which surprises me. Are there any of the Eidolons in the sideboard worth a thought because of the Cataclysm? Was that 3 main deck Cataclysm? You bet it was, End Step Top. We're going to have some fun tonight one way or another. So I think Eidolon of whatever the white one's called. I think the white Eidolon is not quite good enough, because if you're just playing Aethersworn Canonist, that's an artifact already, and you could just keep that, right? So I don't think you want to go out of your way to play something that is more expensive, just for the sake of that diversity. I won the die roll with this deck? Awesome. Alright, who am I playing against? Tom Brooks. Last seen in 2017 on Reanimator. I'm gonna keep this hand. I would have kept it against, like, pretty much literally any deck. This hand's great, right? Like, we have a 1-drop removal spell for Deathrite Shaman, who didn't get banned today. And then we have, like, Thalia into Spirit Keeper. Done. Oh my gosh, I saw this. Take it away. Alright, we don't usually get the Dark Ritual pause. Alright, unmask targeting me. Unfortunately, this gives my opponent information that I have Caracas. So now they probably won't go and fetch something like Grizzlebrand. Alright, so this is Cabal Therapy targeting themselves. So they're not going to have a lot of choice in what they name. Oh yeah, the good old Dark Rit tank. Alright, so they have to get Grizzlebrand. And we'll see how many cards my opponent wants to draw here. It is kind of risky to just draw 14. Because I am I am bouncing this Grizzlebrand. So they're putting themselves to 5 life. They will have a stacked hand. But they are going to need something like a Lotus Petal to start doing anything more here. So they can have just like Unmask to unmask me for more of my cards. They can have Lotus Petal or a Chrome Mox if they're playing any of those. Or if they're on the Simian Spirit Guide build, they could Simian Spirit Guide into Faithless Looting, but that's kind of unnecessary. They're going to discard a bunch of cards anyway. And the Simian Spirit Guides have fallen out of favor in this deck anyway. The black mana is so much more important than the red. Alright, so they're just gonna sire me. Oh no, they can't sire me. Well, that's good. Alright, so they have... Alright. So a Leshnorn's gone, a Bloodstained Mire's gone, a Tidespout Tyrant's gone. Chancellor's gone. Oh, that's actually, like, the literal perfect draw. So I get to bounce their Grizzlebrand, Swords to Plowshares, presumably either Tidespout Tyrant or Sire of Insanity. Hey Phil, if you had to play Modern, what deck would you play right now? Honestly, I'm a little bit out of touch with Modern, so my advice isn't the best on that front. I would probably play whatever my roommate told me one of the best decks of the format was. I'd probably pick the best controlling deck that I could find. I've had some success with like no, all the decks that I've had success with in Modern have gotten like pieces of them banned. So I'd probably just like play some objectively powerful deck that was pretty interactive. I know that's not a satisfying answer, and I know that's probably not what you were looking for, but, you know, I'd probably pick a, you know, powerful linear deck since I don't have a lot of experience. Alright, so what my opponent has dumped an Exhume and an Entomb, so I know they still have like an Animate Dead and a Collective Brutality. Alright, so they're probably gonna like Animate Dead Eleshnorn and make me lose 2 guys, but then I can bounce that, or they can make me Sire of Insanity. Yeah, so that's fine. I'll play this Judge's Familiar out. You would just play Humans, admit it? Ooh, yeah, I'd try that deck. That deck does all the sorts of things that I enjoy. I didn't even consider that as an option because it was not a deck the last time I played Modern. Humans is the best control deck? Okay, yeah, if Humans is the best control deck and it's an Aether Vial deck, you know, I'm all about that life. Sign me up. So end step top, that's not a prelate, that is a Hollowed Spirit Keeper. But I might get a Time Walk. Although I honestly just expect them to like hard cast Animate Dead, right? Because that Judge's Familiar can't counter that. So I think they'll just like go for that. Either get an Eleshnorn to just like wipe my board temporarily, get a Sire of Insanity to make me discard 2 cards, or just get a Chancellor to be a big annoying flying idiot. I might be wrong though. They might have time to play it more patiently than that. Alright, so now I just sack the Judge's Familiar to protect the Thalia. They're tapped out. Obligatory hoot hoot. We're gonna show him the Dunes of the Dead tech. Alright, so if my opponent plays Eleshnorn, and I play Hollowed Spirit Keeper, Eleshnorn kills both of these. I bounce Eleshnorn in response to Hollowed Spirit Keeper trigger. I have not enough power to kill them. I can Recruiter I can recruit her for a mom. To just, like, keep pushing damage through. I can recruit her for a Flicker Wisp. I can just play Hallowed Spirit Keeper. So I have to beat my opponent casting Animate Dead on Chancellor. On either Chancellor or Sire. And Chancellor is probably their better line. To do that, I should probably just get a Mom here. Recruiter Owl, Time Walk once more. Right, but they just have Animate Dead. They're like I know about that from before. They used this now, and I think they used one of these two lands. I don't remember which one, but one of those is gone. So Owl doesn't beat Animate Dead. Unless they don't know it beats Animate Dead, in which case it does. I think I'm supposed to get a Mom. I'm definitely playing the Recruiter. Awkwardly, my opponent can get the Aleshnorn into play to just wipe my board and accept that as a good enough turn. That's something that can occur. Yeah. This is not really a great spot for my opponent, because I just get to bounce the Aleshnorn, and then they're back a ton of resources. I'll then play Hallowed Spirit Keeper. That's so sad. Maybe my opponent doesn't remember the name of my bad card. Nope, they remembered. Yeah, so if they can't reanimate anymore. I think this is a misplay from my opponent, by the way. I think they're supposed to attack with Aleshnorn first, so that I bounce Aleshnorn, so that they can discard Aleshnorn to Faithless Looting. So that's I think a pretty clear misplay from my opponent. Sorry, I was about to just say something. Yeah, like, their Reanimates are dead. Their Exhumes are a little bit risky given the stuff that I have in the graveyard. Like, it's still fine. But if they cast Exhume, I bounce their Aleshnorn, and then I actually get something. So that leaves them with Animate Dead, and they usually... Like, they probably have... depends on the build. Alright, so they have Animate Dead targeting Sire. That is actually probably actively good for me. Because now I get to, like, bounce their Aleshnorn. It'll just get discarded, and whatever 2 cards are left in their hand are just gone forever. just need to beat Sire, and Sire is taking away 3 of their cards there. Reanimate's not a dead draw. They can get the Spirit Keeper. Alright, I guess that is technically correct, yes. Okay. So I can cast a Cataclysm, keep my Caracas, get a 2/2 zombie. My opponent can keep 1 land, Sire, and Animate dead. This is, you know, not the ideal Cataclysm, but it's a good enough Cataclysm. I mean, like, I'm casting it. I will keep a Caracas. So my opponent had just typed, "We get it, you like Cataclysm." Yeah, I am actually winning the race if my opponent attacks here. Well, that doesn't buff my zombie. But it may get some of my other creatures out of, like, potential Elesh Norn range, which is not irrelevant. It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. Yep. Alright, opponent drew a Mana Source. That was one of the best things it could possibly draw. Because that will turn, like, Animate Deads and such back into cards instead of nothings. Wow, opponent super bravely attacking in. Now Reanimate will not be so hot. And now I have 2 different lethal threats for my next turn. I think my opponent needed to sit tight and not attack this previous couple of turns. Opponent can't even flash back their Faithless Looting. Alright, so we'll bring in that 3rd Surgical I added right at the last minute, as well as any other removal I have. So Council Judgment, Relic Warder, Canonist Containment Feast, Path. Probably even this Recruiter as well, since it finds, like, all of my hateful cards. Despite the fact that it did good work there, Cataclysm is probably not awesome in this matchup. So I'll probably drop those. I'll probably just trim on my generic aggressive cards, like Hallowed Spirit Keepers, a little bit here. So we both hooted him, and we got a zombie in a mono white deck. Yes, and we cast Cataclysm too. Yeah, good wholesome magic. I agree. I just have like infinite cards to bring in here. I guess Selfless Spirit isn't the best. Honor of the Pure isn't the best either. Maybe I'm supposed to cut that and just, like, not respect Elesh Norn. Elesh Norn's bounceable anyway. I can just, like, let it take a couple of my things and move on. I can probably just, like, trim a Dunes of the Dead. Maybe Relic Warder for Animate Dead is just not amazing. And maybe I can trim a Flicker Wisp. I just have so much hate that I probably can't go too wrong with sideboarding. It still leaves me with 23 creatures, which is a fine number. So this has a Caracas and a Swords, and my opponent mulliganed, and I have a ton of hate cards for the matchup, assuming I spike a land in one of my top 2 cards. So this is a keep, even though it doesn't have, like, a Surgical or a second land. So that Petal smells like Faithless Looting. Alright. I am just going to go land Mom, I think. And not hold up anything. I don't want to show them the Caracas in hopes so that they, like, go and get a legend. And if this Mom survives, then my hate bears on following turns actually live. Alright, yeah, there's an Entomb. And I'm gonna really hope that's for... it's for a Sire. Alright, that's unfortunate. I thought my opponent was going to board out Sire. Alright, unmask targeting me. Sure. Like, I really don't like Sire against D&T. I think that's very risky, because I already stonewall the Sire, right? Like, this Mom alone stonewalls it. Like, all I have to do is hit a land in probably, like, any one hate bear, and then I feel favored despite my opponent doing a turn 1 Sire. No, I don't think Land Pass was better. Like, I very much like the line I took this game. I would take it again in a heartbeat. Like, I feel very favored to win this game. Alright, this is my opponent just flashing back a Faithless Looting for the hope of trying to hit a creature in the top 2 cards. They can't actually keep any of those cards. Alright, my opponent has figured out that their attack is futile. Ooh, now I can wasteland myself to make a zombie at some point, if I so desire. I don't desire right now, but it's something I can do. Great draw is great. Go, little hoot hoot, buddy, go. Chat's just like, hoot hoot? Question mark? Fetch a Badlands. Fetch a Badlands to thin. You won't. Opponent says, one might say, I am very familiar with this line of play. Yeah. Alright, opponent has a Tidespout Tyrant in the bin now. Oh. Who'd win? A powerful demon able to stop hands, or one Owly Boy? Gonna go with the Owly Boy here, not gonna lie to you. On my turn, there's about a 97.8% chance that I wasteland that Badlands. Yep. The death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's what we're seeing here. Alright, opponent has an Eleshnorn in the bin. I think I just tick this up to 3, right? Because my only white cards are at 3. Yeah. Not that it really matters, because I have this now. Opponent asks, so how's it going? I'm having a hoot over here. Got him. Super rewarded for ticking my vial up, by the way. No more graveyard shenanigans for my opponent. Opponent just says, "Dope." Yeah, mom is doing crazy awesome work right now. Unsure whether or not I will give Containment Priest protection to attack in. Hooray for bullying. So I can attack for 3, put my opponent to 11. They can attack me for 6. I cannot care about that. The only way I care is if my opponent... No, I don't even think I do the pressure. I don't know, like, what they can draw to get out of this, if I'm being just completely honest. It's probably, if I just keep this mom up, they would need something like a Dread of Night or a Massacre, which I don't think they're probably playing to get through what I've got going on here. This might be like the literal 20-turn clock from Judge's Familiar. All right. Swords undoing all that owl's good work. Opponent says, I need a Woody the Woodpecker altar. I was about to say I should probably hold one of those planes for Cataclysm, but I boarded out all of the Cataclysms for the post-sideboard games here. That altar would be pretty good. I would enjoy that. Ooh, Big Bird? Ooh. Big Bird would be strong. Alright. So now we get to play the game of what could my opponent have that beats Containment Priest backed up by Mom and the Owl Squad? Alright. Double Owl Unstoppable. Yeah, I mean, we just confirmed it there, right? Okay, so for anyone who joined halfway and was like, Cataclysm what? Here's the deck list. We are playing a Cataclysm Hallowed Spirit Keeper deck list, which is why you saw some oddities like Flagstones and Dune of the Deads. We're supplementing the Hallowed Spirit Keepers with cards that we expect to go to the graveyard, like Judge's Familiar and Selfless Spirit. So, This is the monstrosity. This is the creation. Oh, Red Panda, you've got it. That owl from Ocarina of Time. That would be a baller altar. Main deck Cataclysm is definitely cool. Whether or not it's good, that's an entirely different question. But, you know, we currently have a 100% win rate with this deck, right? So it's gotta be good. That's how that works. I should have taken some snips of that game. I regret that. There were some really funny moments in that game. So, for anyone curious about, like, why I thought my opponent should board out Sire of Insanity, that game showcased that very fact. Oh, hello. I swear I play against this player, like, 70% of the time when I stream. It's absurd. Alright, so my opponent usually plays, like, D&T or Maverick. So I've got a Swords. These Cataclysms aren't going to be great right now, but they're probably going to be great later. I want to keep this one. Phil, how are you feeling about the ban and restrictor announcement today? Exactly what I thought. Opponent had to take a phone call real quick. It'll be a minute. Exactly what I thought was going to happen happened, and that was nothing. I want a Deathrite Shaman, and I think a Taxing Probe ban is also reasonable. I think, like, Deathrite Shaman needs to go. How I personally thought it was going to go was nothing this time, followed by Deathrite Shaman ban in May, so that in, like, August or September for the GP that's in Richmond, we have a new format. I think they're going to wait and see if the cards from Dominaria mix up the metagame at all, and if not, I think Deathrite Shaman goes the way of the dodo. Wait, WTF, Phil, why are you playing Spirit of the Labyrinth? I thought you hated that card with a burning passion. I do. But Spirit of the Labyrinth is an enchantment, right? You can keep an enchantment with Cataclysm. So it's part of a crazier, bigger overall scheme. And that scheme involves winning with Cataclysm. What is that 3-drop that is from the Commander set? Also, I hate Spirit of the Labyrinth. Me too. Did I say that I hated Spirit of the Labyrinth yet? Because if not, I need to say that like 7 more times before this match is over. It is Hallowed Spirit Keeper, this 3-drop. 3/2 Vigilance, Avatar. When it dies, you create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So if just it dies, you get 1. But if the game has gone on very, very, very long, then you go and, you know, realistically get like 5, 6, 7 spirit tokens. If this deck can't beat Miracles, I don't know what can. Yeah, Whiskey Hughes. Opponent says, you got no idea what you got going on there. Couldn't watch the stream properly before. I guess that's exciting. Fuck! Opponent has the tech! Opponent has the tech in chat. How am I supposed to beat their flagstones? Alright. The follow-up question is, how am I supposed to beat that Jitte? But I can time walk them a couple times with Swords to Plowshares. So that's fine. My opponent says, "You've got a desert." It already seems weird. Really wish that I had another white source so that I could, like, double Swords to Plowshares this turn and not waste a bunch of mana. I think I'm fine with firing off one of these now. My opponent will probably Vial in Jitte, Vial in a 2-drop at the end step. I'll let them equip, and then I'll Swords to Plowshares their idiot, and hope not to get blown out by a Flicker Wisp. I don't think they have Thalia. Fuck. Opponent was trying to get me to attack into that. Objectively, I do think it would have been better to just, like, put it in. Okay, they have multiple. Makes sense. Opponent must be ghosting. He has too much tech. Oh god. No. Opponent is a person of honor. They always close the stream and then they come back. My opponent also said that, like, they couldn't, like, they were in chat but they couldn't, like, watch the stream properly due to, like, other things that were going on. Or just block. Probably just block so they only get 2 Jitte counters. Like, I can't really beat that Mirror Crusader if it gets 4 counters, because then they just remove 1 and I die to it. Whereas this way, if they get 2, then that's 4, 8... Or I guess... Yeah, I want to block. I really needed to draw a land. So I guess my current line involves funneling a few creatures into the graveyard before playing Hallowed Spirit Keeper. Well, this feels terrible. So if I do this, it sets my opponent back quite a bit. That's probably better than resetting their vial. Like, making them use 2 mana again to re-equip Jitte is a real cost when my opponent is constrained on resources. Alright, my opponent has more things, in which case I'm probably just, like, actually dead. Yeah, that might be actual factual dead. Let's see. So that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, they can only hit me for 14 here if they go all out. So I'm dead next turn with probably no outs to it. Thalia is in play, so I can't cast the Cataclysm right now. Oh, geez, my opponent have like a Flicker with 2? Prelate. So Prelate on 1 shuts off my removal. Alright, yeah, we're dead. I'm gonna draw a card just to make sure. But I should be dead. But 4 mana, can't cast Cataclysm because of this. Alright, concede. Actually, so what if I play Spirit, my opponent kills it? Okay, what if I play Spirit, my opponent kills it on my turn, then I play Hallowed Spirit Keeper? Alright, maybe I'm not 100% dead. Alright, let's play to some lines here. This may also prompt my opponent to gain a bunch of life with Jitte if they, like, 100% think I have Revoker here. He should have put it on 4 for the Soul Read. Scared him with the Spirit of Labyrinth. What is happening here? Great question, Stunton. We're playing a Cataclysm deck. Oh no, has my opponent seen through my carefully constructed plot? Am I dead? Or will I get to Cataclysm? In order to Cataclysm, like, I have to draw land. My opponent now doing some weird Bizarro World math where they try to figure out if they can beat me next turn through Hallowed Spirit Keeper. I didn't actually do the math, I'm letting them do that. So if they kill my Spirit Keeper, I get 1, 2, 3, I get 4 1/1 spirits. And my opponent went, lol, I effed that up. Yup. My opponent also says playing on the phone is way harder than I thought it would be. I'm not sure that he has seen through everything I've got going on. Lord Darkview, my opponent has Thalia. That's why. Alright. So I think I block one here. And I think I just, like... Actually, maybe I do... Alright, so if I rip land for Cataclysm, my opponent keeps Crusader with Jitte. I probably just can't beat that. Maybe they don't, somehow. I just need to keep my life total high. I could also double block the Prelate, take 6, and then have Swords to Plowshares as an out. That's not the worst. But then if I cast Cataclysm, I'm dead. So if I take 2 here and go to 8, opponent gets 2 Jitte counters. I'm dead anyway. So I block here, try to draw Swords to Plowshares, then Cataclysm. I think I'm dead no matter what. Oh, for first strike. Stupid, stupid. Oh, I guess this gets... No, I guess this gets them to blow a Jitte counter. And that matters, I guess. Alright, my line was poor there. But I think I was just dead no matter what. Yeah. Can't even cast the Cataclysm for Rubbins. The true failure of the league is not getting a zombie in play. Hey, I got a zombie. I got a zombie last game. Already have succeeded on that front. Oh, I get to make my guys big. Alright, so how am I boarding for this matchup? I don't have equipment, so that's bad. I guess Thalia is the obvious come out. So, my opponent also has flagstones, which is super unfortunate. So some number of these probably have to come out. And then I play like a more fair and balanced game. Managing to cast Cataclysm versus Reanimator and not a grindy matchup. And that Cataclysm was great. That was a good Cataclysm. I enjoyed that. Maybe this is too many Path to Exiles. Maybe I need to play some Cataclysms. Like pull the Spirits, play 2 of these. That only puts me at 20 creatures. That's not good. Yeah, my in-out numbers don't work very well for this matchup. I can just play Spirits as a 3-1 that maybe gets bigger with my Honor of the Pures, or I can just play a couple of Thalias for first strike, although that doesn't work well with all the stuff that I'm boarding in. Let's do something like that. Keep. Yeah, my opponent has the equipment advantage, and they have the advantage of they have mostly good cards in their deck. Whereas I'm playing Spirited Labyrinth. And a lot of my cards don't match up well against them, right? Like, in all seriousness, like, I'm playing Judge's Familiar against their deck. I'm playing Spirited Labyrinth against their deck. But I do have infinite removal, apparently. And that counts for something. Opponent's deck has less tech if we take out our tech. If reverse psychology doesn't win us this matchup, what will? Well said. Well said. Alright. That's a Stoneforge Mystic. Then I'll probably go and get a Jitte. Yep. Good thing I've got this Owl. It'll, I don't know, peck at him and shit. Drawing lots of combos here. Dear Lord, what is this deck? Yes. Oh, I haven't played a Mangara list in a little while. I would love to stream a Mangara build. I haven't done that in a long time. I do have an entire tab on the website that talks about the Mangara lock. I think it's under, like, technical information or something approximately like that. So that is out there. But, like, I would be happy to do a league that demonstrates that. Our opponent has another piece of equipment. I hope it's not Batterskull. But I'm going to go ahead and Swords this now. Sword of Fire and Ice. Okay. That's fine. Oh, man. Dust Bowl would have been great in this list. Oh, misplay. Alright, opponent has a recruiter. What are you getting, opponent? A Mirran Crusader. Alright, I really need to draw something that does something here. I will settle for most somethings, but I need some gas. Like a Wasteland would be baller. Alright, I don't know what Recruiter does, but it's things. What does Recruiter get? Probably just a Flicker Wisp, right? Oh no, it gets a Mom, right? Like Recruiter off Vial, get Mom, put Mom in play, and then like the Crusader and the Sword of Fire and Ice don't actually matter. Yeah, that seems good. Yeah, I'm not going to Recruiter Spirit Keeper in the face of Sword of Fire and Ice Mirror Crusader, right? Like, that's not good. Ooh, I could just get Leon and Relic Warder. Get Leon and Relic Warder their sword. That seems solid also. Forgot about that. It's probably a little riskier because I can't really protect it right now other than Judge's Familiar. And I haven't given my opponent a good swords target. But I have a Vial on 2, right? Yeah, so I can get, like, Relic Warder and just hold it, like, basically forever. Okay, that seems good. Opponent just, like, swears in the chat. Equip sword. Sword is equipped. Hoo 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 hoo. I like this. Probably needs to be a white for Mirror Crusader. Yes. In order so that I can keep staying aggressive, I'm going to go ahead and path this Mirran Crusader. Even though I prefer to like try to wait till my opponent has equipment. I'm just going to hold this in hand to bluff that I have something. Oh, please don't be something big like a Gideon. Oh shit, I knew my opponent had Jitte from earlier in the game. I messed up. That was this game, right? Yeah. Alright, luckily, my opponent still thinks that I have, like, a removal spell because of the boldness with which I took my plays. Did I exile Jitte? Oh, okay, I did that. That's right, there was the Council's Judgment. Sorry, this one has dragged on for a little while. Alright, so they have a Flicker Wisp. Ho ho! Ho ho ho! Why is their mana up? Why did they tap that port? Was that just an error? Let's find out. So they have a Flicker Wisp. They can't flicker me yet. I don't want to attack in with Leon Relic Order. I don't want to trade that with Flicker Wisp. But I think I probably attack in with everything else. My opponent probably doesn't have Thalia in their deck. They might have something like a Sarah Avenger, in which case I'd be a little bit sad. But anything that goes in the graveyard is later fuel for Hallowed Spirit Keeper. So with the exception of like the one card I really don't want to lose, I'm okay with shipping the rest in. Our Hoot Hoot got swole AF. Yes. Yes, it did. Alright, there's the Avenger that was going to make me slightly sad. But, like, opponent would still take a decent amount of damage here. And assuming Hallowed Spirit Keeper doesn't get exiled, I'm going to get a lot of big spirits. Yeah, opponent does not appear to have the removal. They do have a Flicker Wisp. So they can do some shenanigans for a little while. That's good. Yeah, my opponent votes for the Relic Order. That seems like a good vote. I, too, will vote for the Relic Order. So you get your sword, you get to attack in. Doesn't actually kill the Spirit Keeper. It will kill me pretty quickly, and I can't attack into the Avenger. Ooh, that's real good. That puts on the clamps. And now my opponent just gets, like, Flicker Wisp Recruiter. That is the value. Alright, with the Stoneforge Mystic for next turn. Okay, so what happens if I attack? If I attack, my opponent has to block. If my opponent blocks the Avenger, it dies. And I can get 3 spirits. One of those spirits dies. It just, like, blocks the Sarah Avenger, or my opponent pushes through with Mom. Can I win this? If I, like, attack him with Spirit Keeper, get 3 spirits, lose 1 to the Sarah Avenger on their turn, Violin, Selfless Spirit, attack in with those different creatures, I might be able to win. I don't think so. But we're gonna try. I see our Crucible is doing work. It's keeping our flagstones from getting destroyed. Yes, I agree. I also think my opponent should block with Recruiter. This gives us a line. My opponent drew a land and can get like a Sword of War and Peace or something like that. I'm super dead. But otherwise I think I win. Alright, do you have land? Shit. Well, not blocking. No, I can dump the Selfless Spirit from my hand, right? And then I'm still alive. It does put them to 6, though. Which is unfortunate. It's the life gain from Sword of War and Peace there that I actually cared about. Does this give me lethal in any way? Because right now they block 2 of these and they take 4, so I need to be able to push 2 points of damage. Flicker Wisp doesn't do that. Right, but they have the Mother of Runes. So the Mother of Runes just protects from that. But I guess I'm 100% dead if that doesn't work. So I guess I do that. Yeah, now I can only hit for 4. Womp womp. So close. Okay, so that's one thing to note about this build. It's not particularly well suited to the mirror. Like we kind of had to aggro that one out and play from an anemic position, but that's fine. That was a super interesting game. It was very intricate. Yeah, so I don't know how much like you saw earlier, but in game 1, the 2 cards I was left with at the end of the game were double Cataclysms there that I just couldn't cast because of the Thalia. And I kept an opener that had both of those, thinking I'd draw some land, but it didn't work out. The build's super interesting. We won't say good, but interesting it is. Alright, so we're playing against POW 22. Played a lot of decks, most recently on some sort of Miracles deck. I had no idea what I was doing there. Yeah, I don't think you needed to. It was like you were playing against my unusual pile. Obviously you don't have reps against that. You didn't know what you were playing around. There was like some minor misplays that were due to just like kind of not having familiarity with what I was doing. Evening, Phil. Have we done the thing yet? Yes, we got to go and cast Cataclysm to both get a land and a zombie against Reanimator already. To use my mana efficiently, I think I actually want to play Thalia this turn over removing the Deathrite Shaman. Because then I have, like, Thalia attacks plus Owl. And then, you know, my plan for the next turn will be, like, Swords to Plowshares, the Deathrite Shaman, and hopefully also Wasteland them. You want to Wasteland me right now? Because I feel pretty good about that. A Tarmogoyf. Don't actually care about a Tarmogoyf yet. Definitely don't care about a Tarmogoyf now. So we're currently 1-1 with my Cataclysm build. We very narrowly lost the pseudo mirror and beat Reanimator. Thoughtseize. I really want to protect my Swords to Plowshares, I think. So I think I'm fine sacrificing the Judge's Familiar for that, so that I can Swords the Goyf. My opponent gets to hit me once real good with the Goyf, but then I remove it. Getting super punished for my decision not to Swords to Plowshares the Tarmogoyf and instead play Mom. Alright, so what's my plan for taking over this game? It involves Hallowed Spirit Keeper. So if I just Swords the Tarmogoyf, let my opponent have a card now, or they can't Force of Will, I can, like, draw a land, play Hallowed Spirit Keeper, that beats Leovold. Alright, there goes the Hallowed Spirit Keeper. Spirit of the Labyrinth is an okay draw. I'm not sure how much blue my opponent's deck actually has. It might be blue purely for Leovold, right? I haven't seen any other blue cards yet. So it kind of feels like they're playing like some sort of green-black, you know, like rock-style deck that also just has Leovold because it's a good card. You know, kind of like a Jund, except instead of red you have blue sort of thing going on. And by Jund I don't mean like color combination, but I mean like general overall strategy. Do I want to attack with Spirit of the Labyrinth? Not really. Like, I don't really want my opponent to block and then me have to use Mom. I think I'm just gonna, like, wait this one out. But I'm gonna think about that for a second. Moist Jund. No, I don't want to attack. I just want to play careful. My opponent did nothing with their turn. So that kind of indicates to me that they might have just like a couple of removal spells in hand, and they're just like waiting for me to get overly eager and get in the red zone and then get super punished. I mean, alright. Take your value and go, you jerk. Oh man, I just fucked that up. I had Spirit of Labyrinth. Just like literally gave my opponent a free card there. I'll wasteland my opponent in their upkeep. So how blue is my opponent? If they're not very blue, then the Spirit of the Labyrinth isn't doing anything. But they also might have just, like, a whole bunch of cantrips in their graveyard. Or, excuse me, in their hand that I'm locking up. I don't know the answer to that. I shouldn't have made that Thalia attack. I'll let them have that, and then I'll just crack them back harder. In which case I should have attacked with the Spirit of the Labyrinth. Not playing super optimally this game. Chat, remind me to get up and move around a little bit after this round, so I kind of like refresh myself. What's the weird land? Dunes of the Dead. When it dies, I get a zombie. Since I'm on the Hallowed Spirit Keeper plan right now to take over this game, I think I just let that go and just 100% take out their Deathrite Shaman. Keep them from deploying multiple cards. Oh, okay, so there is a Brainstorm in my opponent's graveyard now. Maybe I'm locking out more than I think with this. I want to make them blow some removal spells. Like, hopefully use a removal spell here, use a removal spell here, and then I just get, like, infinite spirits on my next turn with Hallowed Spirit Keeper. Remember? Neat. Yeah, so deep analysis? All right. That is interesting. I did not expect that. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I could make it 5 and just like legend rule my own Thalia right here. That way when the Spirit Keeper dies, I get 6 spirits. It might be correct to just legend rule my own Thalia here. I bet it is. I bet it is correct to legend rule my own Thalia. Yeah, so now I attack in, put my opponent to 7. They attack me with the Grim Flare. I block with Howled Spirit Keeper, take 2, go to 4. Produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spirit tokens, and I don't quite have lethal. So I guess I need to leave the Thalia back and not attack. And then just kind of like leave a trap for my opponent. That's unfortunate. I'm going to get a lot of spirits. Oh, wow. Fatal push their own Grimflare as to not give me infinite spirits. Okay. This game got interesting. So I guess I can just, like, freely attack in with the Hallowed Spirit Keeper. That is card advantage. Actually, can I attack in with both of these creatures? So if my opponent, like, blocks Thalia, then I get 3 through. Then they can't attack with the Tarmogoyf, or I have lethal. Do I already have lethal if they attack with Tarmogoyf? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'd be 6. Yeah, so if Hallowed Spirit Keeper connects, it's already lethal. Oh no, they can start eating my graveyard with Deathrite Shaman. That's unfortunate. Although they just, like, kill me in a turn and a half anyway. And I think I don't play the Dunes of the Dead. I just let them think that I have a 3-drop. This would be a matchup that, like, Rest in Peace would just be absolutely insane against, and unfortunately I do not have that. Joke's on you, I have nothing. I'm going to give my opponent a chance to misclick here. All they need to do is, like, drain me, save Deathrite Shaman, and a land. It appears they have figured out the puzzle. Alright, they figured it out. Alright. So my opponent's deck is essentially, like, green-black aggro that has some blue card draw and Leovold. So I think the stuff that normally would be good against Bug is going to be good against this deck. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I want to get up and, like, move around for a second. I'm going to, like, get my sideboard configuration together, and then I'm going to do that, because I played like crap that game, and I will openly admit that. Alright, so what don't I like in this matchup? Judge's Familiar is probably a little weak. Most of the rest of this stuff is okay. Am I not supposed to Cataclysm here? Or am I, like, bringing in too many cards? Maybe I'm not supposed to Cataclysm, and I'm just supposed to, like, play Hallowed Spirit Keeper as just a generic value card that, like, essentially is unblockable. And then maybe I'm supposed to just play this generic, like, Path, Honor of the Pure, generic D&T shell minus equipment stuff. Or maybe I don't bring in, like, Crucible and Ghost Quarter, and I instead play Cataclysm. Because, like, they do have Decay, so maybe that's not the best, and I just keep some Cataclysms. I would need to cut one card, though, if I bring that Dunes back in. Guess I can trim one of those. Alright, I'm going to keep, and I'm just going to take 30 seconds to move around a little bit before I continue playing. Ugh. Yeah, sorry, folks. I get a little sluggish when I sit for too long, and that's something I'm very, very aware of. And that game I played poorly just because I'd been sitting for too long. I was in kind of a funk. That's on me for not moving around in previous rounds. I think I'm going to try to path something else other than Deathrite Shaman. There goes my Spirit Keeper. If a bunch of my stuff doesn't die right here, I am going to have a very well-defended board. Alright, Grim Flare not a real issue right now. I have an answer to that in hand. Just gonna see if this elicits any response from my opponent. Hello, hello, welcome. That actually shrinks their Tarmogoyf, right? Yeah, because now instant is no longer there. I'm gonna go ahead and hold that land in hand at this point for Cataclysm reasons. Further shrinking their Tarmogoyf. Yeah, I don't even think I play a land here. I don't want to play the Flagstones because it puts a land in the graveyard, and if I draw a Cataclysm, I'd rather have lands in hand. Opponent opting not to turn their Tarmogoyf into a 0/1. Oh, excuse me. Little selfless spirit that could. I am having a good day. I'm having some fun. I'll have a better day if I get to Cataclysm away my opponent's 5 lands and 2 of their creatures. So they can turn those into 2/3s at a moment's notice. That doesn't really matter. I don't really care if they point removal spells at my selfless spirits. I guess I do. Like, I have them on a 3-turn clock. Yeah, so I'll just block one of these. So I'm actually going to play my Wasteland so that I can Wasteland my own Dune of the Dead to create a zombie, so that next turn I can go attack with Selfless Spirit, give zombie pro green, and get there. Huzzah! Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Alright, well, my opponent mulliganed. I have a Vial. I have removal for their first critter. I have a protection thing, and one of the best cards in this matchup. This is a really good opener on my end. And what is probably a weak start on my opponent's end. They might not even be able to cast anything of, like, real note right now. Yeah, just a Tarmogoyf here is not exciting. Yeah, I'll probably just, like, not even remove it this turn, and just play Honor of the Pure. If my opponent attacks in with a small Tarmogoyf, I'll just block with Mom. And opponent just conceded there, probably because they have just, like, no castables left in hand. Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave the deck list up for a minute here, folks, and I'm gonna refill my water and use the restroom. If you have any questions about what I am doing here, please go ahead and throw them in the chat, and I'll answer them in a minute or two. Honor of the Pure confirmed busted. Honor of the Pure has been doing really well. I've been testing it in a lot of deck lists, and I've really been liking that card. Why are people moving to builds without Stoneforge and K command? I don't know that it is correct to do so, but I'm going to explain the rationale. So the rationale is that Stoneforge Mystic is a huge mana sink advantage, which can be undone very easily. So let's say that you cast Stoneforge, that's 2 mana. You Vial in Sword of Fire and Ice, that's 4 mana. You equip Sword of Fire and Ice, that's 6 mana. If your opponent just has, like, Fatal Push, and they then Fatal Push at that point, they set you back kind of like 6 mana worth of tempo, and then that's huge. So it's partially that, and it's partially that since more people are playing K Command and Abrupt Decay and other, like, main deck artifact answers, you know, anything up to, like, Fiery Confluence, equipment isn't always running away with games like it used to. Like, it used to be, like, you get a piece of equipment, it is there forever in game 1. Like, it just never leaves the battlefield. And that's just not true anymore. Like, you'll even see, like, random Abrades main deck sometimes now. So that's kind of the rationale. Again, all of my real D&T builds currently are playing Stoneforge Mystic, and I don't want to, like, stop playing that card. But a lot of the experimental things I'm trying are trying without it. How does Honor of the Pure combine with something like Dread of Night? They effectively will just cancel each other out. And the net result is that the creature is whatever size it originally would have been. So if you have a Dread of Night and an Honor of the Pure, Mother of Runes is just a 1/1. Wait, this is not real? Unfollowing. Well, we're 2-1 with it right now. You know, so, like, the 4-1 dream is still there. We'll play a couple more rounds with it, and then I'll say some things. I do think that this idea was kind of ambitious from the start, but it's too tempting not to try. But it's starting to look like with Thalia, Cataclysm is just like casting too much, and that's problematic. But like, if we could get paired against something like Checkpile or Miracles, like, how do we lose? Like, just like 3 copies of Cataclysm and all of those Hallowed Spirit Keepers. That's pretty devastating. What other games do you play? I play a lot of Japanese rhythm games, not on stream. On stream, the only thing I play is Magic, but more generally, I play a lot of, like, DDR, Project Diva, you know, Into the Groove, Groove Coaster, a lot of that sort of stuff. I'm most of the way through Final Fantasy 15. I'm in all the end game content, but I haven't just, like, finished up everything. Play a decent amount of board games as well, things like Ascension, Dominion, that sort of stuff, those sorts of Euro games. I enjoy those a lot. Hey Welshman, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully I'm going to have some fun things to show you here. Alright, well this hand's terrible. We're going to mulligan that. This hand looks much better. I want a 3rd land, I don't want a Caracas. It's not soldiers. I'll give you a hint. Starts with Cata, and ends with Clism. And there's 3 of them. I might play Soldiers Wednesday. I'm either going to play Soldiers Wednesday, I've got an updated list. Well, I should say I have all of the ideas for an updated list. I haven't put them on Moto yet. But I talked with Chantel Campbell, who was playing it at the GP, and we shot some ideas back and forth, and I have some things I want to try. I will give you the Gataxian Probe. You can have that information. I don't want to trade my 1 mana spell for your 0 mana spell. Especially if this is something like Ant. Yeah, I'm not sure how... do I want to take a Ponder? What's my opponent playing? I don't want to take a Ponder. If my opponent is playing something like Sneak and Show or Ant, I'd rather just have these Judge's Familiars around to deal with the actual win conditions. Do you play first and third person shooters? No, I don't really enjoy the gameplay of most shooters. I just don't personally find it particularly enjoyable. I also feel like there's not as much variety in between them. Like, to me, a lot of shooters really just feel the same, and it's not particularly enjoyable to me. Like, it's just a genre of gaming that I don't enjoy. Yeah, Welshman, I didn't read, I skimmed over that document. I didn't read all of it in detail, but you've got some interesting things going on there. So dude, like, just to follow up on that a little bit more, like, when my friends in college were playing Halo, I was playing Smash Bros, and I never really just found, like, you know, the Halo or the Call of Duty series or anything of that general nature particularly appealing. I'll play this Selfless Spirit so it can protect my owls. Alright, looking like Ant over there. You can brainstorm. I think there is a lot of room for exploration in the Soldier Stompy list. Like, I think some of what I was doing was right. I think some of what she was doing was right. And I think there is room to make that archetype a little bit better. Like, I think my innovation of Fairground Wardens was really good. But I think some of the changes she made to, like, the mana base and dropping down on, like, numbers of City of Traders, I think that was good. I think the cast out that she was playing was a good idea. And that random 4-drop Flash Soldier, that seemed really good. I'm just blanking on the name of it right now. I think it's Selfless Squire. I hope I'm not mixing that with, like, mixing that up with, like, the new 1-drop. So I could Cataclysm them and leave myself with a Judge's Familiar and 2 lands. But I don't know that getting rid of 2 of their mana sources matters all that much. It probably just, like, does not matter. So I'm just going to play a Spirit Keeper. Put the pressure on. Make it so they're dead if they have to fetch. And then on my next turn, I can Cataclysm if for some reason they haven't killed me. And then that Cataclysm will leave me with a whole bunch of spirits. So, Lord Darkview, we are currently 2-1. We beat Reanimator, we narrowly lost to D&T, and then we beat that weird, like, bug mid-range deck. We're probably about to lose a game to Ant right here, question mark. I've got these Judges Familiars, but, like, two mana of Mana Disruption is probably not enough when it's turn 4. My opponent has 8 cards in hand. Like, it's possible I can stop them before they start going, but it's also possible that they see that they have 7 power, that I have 7 power, and that I can't kill them, and they'll just wait one more turn. Yeah, so Lord Darkview, in game 3 of that match, they mulled to essentially like a Tarmogoyf or Bust hand, and I started on, like, Vile Honor of the Pure, and they just conceded. Alright, those aren't rituals. I really want them to start off with rituals so that I could counter those. Now the power of my plays goes down a lot. Alright, Infernal Tutor, and they are giving me priority. So I guess I just let them do that. Like, they might be doing this weird situation where they try to get me to crack one of these Judge's Familiars so that they can crack LED afterwards. I'm not sure exactly, but I think I let this Infernal Tutor go. Yeah, I'm gonna let that go. Alright, so you got 2 Dark Rituals. You cast one, I counter it unless you pay 1. You cast the second one, I counter it unless you pay 1. Nah, I'm deep enough into Magic that I don't want to go to a second card game. Like, I've invested enough time, effort, and energy into this one, kind of getting to the, you know, one of the relative peaks of performance, that I don't want to do that again with another game. Yeah, the main deck Cataclysm is definitely interesting. Oh, geez, opponent had the Past in Flames in hand. That is daggers. So now my opponent can pay for both of these. And storm off. I haven't done the math on that. So Past in Flames for flashback is 5, so that leaves them at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, tutor. Yep. Alright, I'm dead. I didn't think double Judge's Familiar was going to be enough disruption. I also did not think that they were going to be able to go off once they started. I thought I had, like, a get-you-gotcha moment. But they figured it out. Alright, so what do we have for Ant? Not as much as normal. So I get Canonist, Recruiter, Relic Warder. I'll probably board in Honor of the Pure, hedging against Dread of Night rather than Council's Judgment. And Surgicals. And we'll go Swords to Plowshares out. Probably cut the Cataclysms, even though they can hedge against Goblins. And then probably just cut a land. Hey, what's going on in here? We are playing a Cataclysm-based Hallowed Spirit Keeper D&T deck, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I've learned a lot already just by playing this Lord Darkview. You know, it was a good idea. I don't know that the Cataclysm approach is worth following up on more, but it's super interesting and can probably destroy some local metagames that are heavily, like, check pile based or miracles based. What's the difference between Ant and Tess? essentially, Tess is a little bit faster, Ant is a little bit slower. Tess tends to win with Empty the Warrens, and Ant tends to win with Past in Flames for Tendrils. No, I think Hallowed Spirit Keeper is very, very good, actually. I've been very impressed by that card. Like, Hallowed Spirit Keeper is the sort of card that I would consider playing in, like, regular D&T. Like, kind of what I've learned from playing the last couple of, like, weird experimental builds I've tried is that Honor of the Pure is pretty good, Hallowed Spirit Keeper is pretty good. A lot of the other things I've tried, not the best. Alright, this hand's great. I can even play around Massacre. Why Honor of the Pure and not Crusader? In many ways, Mirran Crusader and Hallowed Spirit Keeper are good in the same sorts of spots. Yeah, D-Mark, the Lightning Plains is the same plains that I choose to play in real life. I very much love that card. I think the art is brilliant. So, like, Crusader is great with Honor of the Pure, but so is Spirit Keeper, right? So Spirit Keeper normally makes 1/1 tokens, but if you start pooping 2/2 tokens, that's pretty insane as well. Oh, Crusade. So Crusade is white-white instead of white and one colorless. And that is a surprisingly big difference, mathematically speaking, with the mana base that I am playing. Alright, well, this hand is going to be pretty insane against them. I'm thinking about, like, if I want to play around Massacre. If I play around Massacre, I can't keep Surgical up, but that probably doesn't matter. I think I'm going to just play around Massacre. Like, I have my opponent in some pretty nasty Vice Grips right now. And Massacre seems like one of the few things that could get them out of that with the Mom Protection. Oh, Octobit, thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you for sending your Twitch Prime money this way. I appreciate it, and it helps me continue to do what I am doing now. Alright, so if I just continue attacking for 4, it's 4, 8, 12... Yeah, it's a 4-turn clock. If I just play Flicker Wisp, then it's a 2-turn clock. That is probably a fine risk-reward scenario. I think I'm okay with that. Surgical is pretty expensive on paper. Is it worth the investment? I think Surgical Extraction is a great card to own probably about two copies of if you are a committed Legacy player. It gets slotted into just about any deck. Really good in like Snapcaster Mage decks in particular. So like if you intend long term to play decks other than just D&T, then absolutely I would recommend picking up a set of Surgicals. If D&T is like the only thing that you are playing, then like maybe you can get away with not buying them and running something else. But I think the card's very good. I very frequently run it. Ooh, is my opponent just dead? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Not just dead. Oh, we're so close. So go 4, 7, 10, leave my opponent at 3, and then still have Mom and Surgical up as 2 layers of protection. That seems good. Chain of Vapor targeting Thalia. Well, I'm going to protect from that. So, Artillery Frost, generally speaking, Surgical Extraction is a better card in most Legacy matchups with the exception of Reanimator. Against Reanimator, Fairy is just a better card. It avoids the Chancellor of the Annex tax, and it... Oh. Alright, they're just looking at my hand before conceding. So against Reanimator specifically, Fairy is better. It gets around the Chancellor tax, and it can deal with Exhume better. But in most other matchups, Surgical is just a more powerful card. Like, there's a big difference between getting rid of a Punishing Fire or a Life from the Loam, and getting rid of all of them. End step top. If I sack one of my things and bounce one of theirs, then they can repeat it, right? And that's actually actively bad for me. Yeah, there are some people who swear by Fairy because it has like the other upside of being fetchable by Recruiter of the Guard. And like, obviously, Surgical Extraction, that's not something you can do. Maybe on the draw I'm supposed to play some Cataclysms over like these Hallowed Spirit Keepers just to hedge against goblins. I'm gonna think about that for a second. Like, on the play, if my opponent just makes a bunch of goblins on, like, turn 2, a Cataclysm can let me live through that. So Flicker Wisp isn't doing a lot, so what if I cut, like... Well, never mind. Somehow my deck still submitted even though I was short 3 cards. Womp womp. Oh well, hand's great. And opponent mulliganed. Should have surgical to see what they sided. No, if I cast the surgical extraction, my opponent would have just conceded in response. So that wouldn't have actually done anything. Yeah, Artillery Frost, that's another thing too. Like, a lot of times, like, let's say you start on a Vial, and you get to, like, turn 3, where you can go and just, like, hard cast Recruiter and then put in Containment Priest. That's better in a lot of games than, words. That Containment Priest is going to be better than Fairy in most games, I think. Like, there are some other, like, fringe upsides to Fairy. Like, you can technically vial it in, so, like, there's a weird game scenario where, like, you could use it as a 2/2. But that doesn't happen a lot. Like, I don't know that I've done that more than once or twice in just, like, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games with D&T. Alright, so that Cabal Therapy is gonna get my Canonist. And then I'll play Vial and Pass, just to give myself the highest upside. Since my opponent mulliganed and they have 3 cards left, it would have to be a very specific set of cards in order for them to go off next turn. So I don't think I need to play the Judge's Familiar. It's so much better coming down off a Vial. I say as he just goes like dark red, dark red, dark red, ad nause, and I die. So Artillery Frost, if you think you're scared of Reanimator, what I would encourage you to do is start keeping statistics on that matchup. I have something absurd like an 80% win rate against Reanimator. That matchup is not nearly as difficult as people think it is. You don't even need Graveyard Hate to win. A lot of times, like a strong taxation plan, like a Thalia into a Wingmare, or like a Thalia with a Port in a Wasteland, just absolutely locks them out of the game. Like, the Reanimator matchups, I usually side in something like 12 cards, and the post-sideboard games are just really easy. How many Cataclysm am I playing? I have 3 in the main deck. Yeah, so artillery frost, it's pretty rare that they just like absolutely have the nuts with backup. That doesn't happen a lot. Are they going to have the nuts? Sure, but the nuts with backup, that doesn't happen a lot. This is the build your own Rashadan Port play right here. Or actually, maybe I just play a second Spirit Keeper, go to my end step, flicker out a land, instead of just like Flicker Wisping my Flicker Wisp for no apparent reason. That way, if they randomly board wipe me, I just have like stupid amounts of backup. So my opponent now has to either go off on their turn or their Misty Rainforest is shut off and they'll be at 1 life. And I'll get to flicker out another land. What is that creature? Sir Southers, that is a Hallowed Spirit Keeper. 3/2 Vigilance Avatar. When it dies, you create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. That is Abrupt Decay targeting a Flicker Wisp. Alright, well that is good news for me. That means my opponent probably isn't going off. Like they're on 3 cards and 2 mana. And I'll get to deny another mana the next turn with the follow-up Flicker Wisp. Yes, it includes itself. So if Hallowed Spirit Keeper is like the only creature and it dies, you know, it puts itself into the graveyard and then it's trigger checks. So, it will always make at least 1 spirit token unless your opponent removes it or there's something like a Rest in Peace. So, basic planes, what that Abrupt Decay accomplished is it gained my opponent 3 life so that their fetch lands could be live on the following turn. That's what it did. Because if they had just taken a Flicker Wisp hit, they'd be at 1, and then it would have shut off 2 of their lands. So, Abrupt Decaying that Flicker Wisp essentially gave them 2 more mana on this turn to try to go off with. But they're on 4 cards, and I have this Judge's Familiar. So, good luck. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just saw that now. Scream? Infernal Tutor. So they are dead no matter what next turn. If they have a Dark Writ in hand, then I want to snap this off right now. I guess, like, no matter what, I'm going to make my opponent pay 1 extra this turn, so I should probably just do it at the first opportunity too. Azure Reflection, thank you very much for subscribing and supporting my efforts. I really do appreciate that. Yep, okay. So they get Dark Writ, Dark Writ. Does Adnaz their last card? Do they get to Adnaz from 2? Oh, Tendrils me. Okay. That's a mini Tendrils. So I get to hit them for 9. And then they get 1 turn to draw some magical card that somehow gets them out of this situation. Still got all these Ether Vials. I'm not going to cast this one. Back briefly. So confirmed that Hallowed Spirit Keeper is white, true name Nemesis? Yes. Card's pretty good. I definitely think Hallowed Spirit Keeper is abusable in some way in Legacy. A lot of what Mark has been doing with it, what Batra has been doing with it, has been very interesting. I don't know that my whole, like, Cataclysm as a way to sack it is good, but I think if you're playing Cataclysm in the sideboard anyway, it synergizes very well with it. Whether or not I should have, like, put that card in the main deck at all, that's an entirely different question, and the answer is probably no. But I wanted to try it. What outs could they even have? I don't know. Probably, like, literal none. Like, even if they have something like Massacre, then they just die to a giant spirit army. Alright, so there are a handful of new faces tonight in the chat. Hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. We're usually playing D&T or things like D&T on this channel. And tonight's build is full of Cataclysm. That means it has to be good, right? This hand is a stinker. Let's see if I have any data on my opponent. Opponent played Esper Deathblade for a while in 2017. Alright. With a land, is this hand amazing? I don't know what my opponent is playing, but I have 3 1-drops. I have 22 hits for a land on turn 1. This could be a very good or a very bad hand, depending on what my opponent is playing. Since I have those Cataclysms, I want a little bit more land than normal. A Vile hand is probably better than this. Like, in many ways, this is kind of a mold of 5, where this is a very, very strong hand, but these aren't going to be castable for quite some time. Yes, Artillery Frost. I'm gonna keep this. You can turn on notifications on Twitch, and if you're subscribed or following my channel, it will just like send you an email that says Death and Taxes for the Win has gone live on Twitch, and that is probably the easiest way to do that. Otherwise, I announce it on the D&T Facebook group, as well as my Twitter. I am at Mangaralock if you want to follow me. All right, so opponent is probably just like playing Pile, like just like fetch bad lands and bolt. It's like going to be like Pile or Jund. For mana efficiency, I'm going to go ahead and play Thalia here. Have you ever thought about goofing around with the green-white Maverick list with Loam, Dunes, Sylvan, Safekeeper? I don't know that I want to go that deep. Like, if I can be doing Maverick things, I'd rather just do Maverick things, right? Like, if I can just, like, kill people with, like, giant Knights of the Reliquaries, that's probably better than goofing around with what I'm doing now. Never not had the land. Of course. I'm a master. How did I get so good at playing D&T? I'm a cheater. I know when the lands are on top of my deck. Even when it's online, I just got the feel for it. No, we really needed that land, though. Like, seriously. It would have been real bad if we missed. Maybe not real bad, like, because, like, I still would have played a second Mom if my opponent played, like, a Deathray Shaman or something like that. I had a Swords for it. But drawing that land either on that turn or my turn 3 was super important to my win percentage. That was definitely a calculated risk hand. And I think my opponent is, like, staring down this Hallowed Spirit Keeper right now, going, like, do I really need to take that? Like, let's say I rip a white source and I slam this Hallowed Spirit Keeper and my opponent just, like, took my Mother of Runes or something like that. It'd feel real bad. Ooh! Ooh! Jimmy's rustled. I love it when I rip 2 lands off the top when I keep a 1-lander. Psychic Phil hotline. Please, opponent, kill my Hallowed Spirit Keeper and give me 3 idiots. Okay, thanks. Heart Phil. See if my opponent just, like, hymns away my last 2 cards here. Leovold. I think I'm okay with giving my opponent a card in order to just, like, stay aggressive. I could also choose to, like, not remove this Leovold and just, like, see if they want to trade the Hallowed Spirit Keeper for it. This Leovold never gets to attack, so it's not actually that good. Do I even remove it? Do I just, like, attack with Spirit Keeper, play Flicker Wisp, flicker one of my own lands, and then just, like, keep... Because if I give my opponent 3 life, that's not the best. So I can put my opponent to 11 by attacking with Spirit Keeper, and then they're on a 2-turn clock from Spirit Keeper and Flicker Wisp alone, just, like, ignoring the Leovold. Yeah, let's do that. Do I recommend the Spirit Keeper in other builds? Very possibly. I think Spirit Keeper is a card that has a lot of promise. I will definitely be continuing to test with this card quite a bit. I don't go so far to say that like it's become a staple, but it's definitely become like a viable flex slot card. So now I kind of want to like remove the Leovold, because my opponent will still be on a 2-turn clock, and removing the Leovold means that my opponent can't just block the Spirit Keeper and then Toxic Deluge me. So I think I'm going to play to that. Brainstorming in response doesn't make a lot of sense because you can't force back due to the Thalia. Well, what do I know? Yeah, Bavra's deck is very strange. The so-called spicy popcorn deck that he has been playing is not really D&D anymore. It has some of the same elements, but it's very odd in comparison to traditional D&D. You like Spirit Keeper better when playing equipment? Is that what you mean? I could see that, like, it's kind of like pseudo-unblockable, right? So if you put equipment on it, that's just scarier. Baleful Strix. Alright, do I attack with both? It's not a lethal attack. I guess it's like, how much do I want to keep playing around Deluge? My opponent has Deluge. Then I don't want to attack with the Spirit Keeper. And I just want to attack with the Flicker Wisp. But if I attack with both and my opponent doesn't have Deluge, then they're just dead next turn. Or no, they just... No, they don't die if they Deluge. They'll be at 1. Because I would attack him with Spirit Keeper. Flickerus would get through, putting them 2. They'd Deluge for 1 to kill all of my spirits. I'm not sure whether or not I'm supposed to open myself up to Toxic Deluge here. I guess that's something that's happening at some point this game, no matter what. Yeah. At some point or another, even if it's just like lightning bolt your guy followed by Deluge, that sort of thing is happening. Alright, an opponent does not have Deluge, otherwise they would have blocked the Spirit Keeper. So I was overthinking things. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to attack with both. Because if I just attack with the Wisp, and they trade with Wisp, and then just like Jace bounce my Hallowed Spirit Keeper, they're at a higher life total when they stabilize. Dunes of the Dead, when it enters the graveyard from play, I get a 2/2 black zombie. Alright. So this is weird, because I have the Swords to Plowshares, and on the surface it probably seems like I just want to, like, Swords... I guess I do want to, like, Swords the Baleful Strix, force them to block with the Deathrite Shaman or die. I was thinking about, like, Deathrite Shaman eating some of the stuff from my graveyard and being annoying. But that doesn't matter if they have to jump block with it. Alright, they're using a decay on it or something. Alright, I sacrifice a creature. I sacrifice this one. And the army cometh. Do you have Toxic Deluge? Your previous plays indicated that you did not. Opponent could eat something from my graveyard to go up to 4 life, remove a spirit token, or I guess 2 spirit tokens, and survive. Alright, so that was K command, killing a spirit token, and getting Baleful Strix back. I now have Wasteland my own Dunes of the Dead for another creature if need be. And you can bet I'm wastelanding myself just to make a 2/2. I'm fine with that proposition. It should be a 4 of. I could only find 3 on Moto tonight, so I'm only playing 3. Yeah, I mean, it's a little unfortunate. My opponent has kind of like drawn insanely well in the last couple of turns to be able to stabilize from the position that they were at. But they've played well as well. But like now I'm at the point where if I draw a Cataclysm, right, there's like almost literal no way that my opponent could possibly win. Recruiter is a really good draw as well. It doesn't present lethal this turn because my opponent can just gain life with Deathrite Shaman. I don't have any Revokers in my deck. But I can do like a Flickerwisp chain that ends in me getting another Hallowed Spirit Keeper. If I had one more land, I would go like Recruiter, Flickerwisp, Recruiter. I think I'm supposed to just go Recruiter, get Hallowed Spirit Keeper, hold Hallowed Spirit Keeper for Vile, so I can put it in at the end step so it can't just be Jace bounced. But that wouldn't play around a Culligan's command. I can just go Recruiter, Flickerwisp, hope my opponent does not have a removal spell and try to gain value that way. But if they have the removal spell, that's super bad for me. Pick Evasion. I could see that. All right, let's go for some greed. And I'm gonna pass priority, I think, to just let my opponent drain with Deathrite, and then when their mana is low, yeah, at this point I'm okay Flicker Wisping. If they have a 1-mana removal spell, so be it. How many creatures are left in my graveyard? Just 2. Yeah, keeping that in mind, like, that this Deathrite Shaman has just been eating away at my graveyard, it might just be correct to do what I did. Snapcaster Mage, yet another frickin' Colligan's command? No, they're out of those. Alright, so they get to Diabolic Edict my idiot. Alright. I'll get another. Alright, so I have one more Flicker Wisp. Alright, Spirit Labyrinth is a good draw. So I'll play that. I think I just continued to ride the value train to the fullest extent of my abilities. And flicker this Recruiter. Sure, but the Spirit of the Labyrinth I put in play also prevents Jace draw. Sure, but I think the potential card that I get to tutor and their Brainstorm are worth about the same overall value. My Kingdom for a Cataclysm. Yeah, so for anyone wondering why, like, all of the, like, not all, but most of, like, the die-hard Legacy players who play a ton of Legacy go, like, Deathrite Shaman needs to be banned, it's this. Like, the Mana Accelerator win condition, Life Stabilizer Planeswalker, it does too much. It's very silly. Again, my Kingdom for a Cataclysm. Alright, that's a little late now. Opponent should 100% be fate sealing me here. They have a 3-turn clock. Like, if they had fate sailed me previously, They wouldn't have even had to use a card there. They could have just, like, bounced that Spirit of the Labyrinth if they wanted. Alright, that one fell apart. I'm not drawing good cards for a long time there. Alright, Council Judgment in, Recruiter in, Honor of the Pure in, Crucible, Ghost Quarter, Canonist is maybe, Swords to Plowshares out. Is there anything else I don't particularly like? I think I like most of the rest of my cards. So, like, the whole Crucible Ghost Quarter Wasteland thing is fine, but it's not really great in the face of Culligan's Command. Yeah, just play one more of these. Call that good. Or one Swords to Plowshares would be fine as well. Like, as we saw there, Deathrite Shaman is obviously pretty annoying. To be fair, we had pile beat on, like, every possible axis, and then things just went terribly wrong. Like, opponent drew very well, I drew very poorly. Both of those things occurring at the same time was the perfect storm. So I kind of want to play out that Vial for tempo reasons, because over the next few turns it can generate a lot of value, but at the same time I kind of just want to stick the Spirit of the Labyrinth before my opponent cantrips again, or just, like, play something like a Baleful Strix. It also presents a ton of pressure. I think I'm going to do this. And then after that, I won't commit another creature to the board. Am I willing to trade Spirit of the Labyrinth for Leo? I don't think so. Not yet. Alright, good. Opponent didn't have forced blue card left. Actually, I kind of wanted them to have forced blue card left so I could get, like, the sickest Judge's Familiar blowout ever. Him to Turok. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Don't you feel silly now, opponent. Ha ha ha. The land of shame. Oh, of course you have one of those too. Why wouldn't you? Yeah, in future turns, I may just, like, wasteland my opponent off of the tropical island purely so they can't eat stuff out of my graveyard with Deathrite. Snapcaster Preordain rather than Snapcaster a removal spell. That's probably an indication that I'm in an okay spot. Yep, I agree, and that's the power and frustration of playing against Deathrite Shaman, you know? And now I am not going to wasteland them to give them a card. Like they can fetch another green land off of that Misty, and I could like wasteland them off of both of those, giving them 2 cards in the process. That's so not worth it. That's an okay draw. Opponent considering what choices they made in life that led them to this point. Culligan's Command dealing 2 to Judge's Familiar and returning a Snapcaster Mage. Well, not much I can do about that. Judge's Familiar was like a bad target for that though, because now I just like use the Judge's Familiar to make it so that you can't use the Snapcaster Mage to do anything else. Not that you really could have anyway because of the Thalia attacks, but you know. What does my opponent have in graveyard? I guess K Command's kind of annoying. I'm going to eat one of my opponent's green sources just to, like, limit Deathrite Shaman's ability to do things. A green-blue source is probably better than a green-black source, but it's probably roughly the same. Yeah, their out is eat a creature and draw a Deluge. No, they could eat a creature first to go up to 3 life. Kind of want to board in the second Aethersworn Canonist when I'm on the draw, just to mitigate some of the power of Snapcaster Mage. It would make my deck a little worse against Culligan's Command, though. It's probably fine. Maybe do something like +1 of those and minus a either Selfless Spirit or Judge's Familiar. My opponent mulliganed, which kind of makes me want to keep this hand, because it's a super crazy strong Vile hand. Oh, we're doing fine. Like, I'm gonna get to put my mom in, and then I'm gonna get to put my Thalia in. That alone is pretty great. And if they K-commanded after that, so be it. There is some desire for me to not get something that is white-white. But I'm going to go ahead and get a Flicker Wisp. Harsh casualties. Annoying. But that means, like, my Vial just gets to tick up to 3. I get to put in a Hallowed Spirit Keeper. I get to back it up with Selfless Spirit. And then a turn or two down the line, cast this Cataclysm for huge, huge value. Yeah, like, on, you know, like, technically speaking, my opponent will probably lose on time, but, like, my hand is insane right now. How deep do I want to go on this Cataclysm resolving? Because I can go real deep right now. I can go, like, Flicker Wisp out one of my lands. Like, play Caracas, Flicker Wisp out my land, cast Cataclysm, Cataclysm resolves, sack the Flicker Wisp. Or I can just, like, cast the Cataclysm, get 2 guys off Dunes of the Dead, still have Hallowed Spirit Keeper. That's probably good enough with Flicker Wisp back up. Yeah, let's do that. I don't think I need to get super cute. I get to keep 1 guy. So I don't need to flicker it. Alright, so I'll keep my plane. No, I'll keep my Caracas in case like Thalia Leovold stuff comes up. So keep that, this. Done. Opponent didn't float more mana with their lands, so they're probably gonna have a bad time. Targeting Brainstorm. You bet. So people are asking me why I didn't flicker my own stuff there. It's because I think this might just be better. Super punished for my choice, obviously. Opponent now so worried about their clock that they're not even eating things with Deathrite Shaman. I mean, sure, I guess I'll sacrifice this. Alright, and opponent scoops it up. And by that I mean they timed out, but they were real dead anyway. So that was the 4-1 after all of that, right? Yeah. So that was wins against Reanimator, a bug midrange deck, Ant and check pile, and a loss to D&T. Not a close loss either. Very much not in my favor. Yeah, that was an interesting game. It would have been fun to play out a couple more turns there. But I'm pretty sure I had that locked up regardless. So, you know, verdict on Hallowed Spirit Keeper is that card is very, very good. Verdict on the Cataclysm portion of the deck, maybe not so much. Like, I kind of suspected that this portion was too cute to start with, but I'm definitely on board with, like, Hallowed Spirit Keeper being, you know, a rather good card. Like, sort of frustratingly, as we saw, though, like, everything else cool that you can, like, kind of try to do to get value in this format, it is also attacked by Deathrite Shaman, which is frustrating, and that might be a breaking point that keeps Hallowed Spirit Keeper from being absolutely insane all of the time. And you also need to consider that if you're playing Hallowed Spirit Keeper, you can't really play Rest in Peace anymore, and that's one of D&T's absolute best sideboard cards in the format right now. So there's definitely a lot of food for thought there. And I don't know, like, where that puts me at the end of the day, as far as all of this stuff goes. Like, I definitely liked Hallowed Spirit Keeper. It was very good in really all of those rounds, somewhat surprisingly. Whether or not this is the best Hallowed Spirit Keeper shell, that's hard to say. Like, Bahra's been trying out various builds that have ways to, like, copy it and sacrifice it in sort of a multicolored Aether Vial deck. You know, using things like Cabal Therapy with Flashback or Flashback Marauder as like a sacrifice outlet. I don't know that what I'm doing here is any better than any of that. Like, if you are playing Hallowed Spirit Keeper, then putting some Cataclysms in your sideboard is probably a very good idea. But whether or not you should, like, play a deck that has Cataclysm in the main, the answer is probably no, right? Like, I think I boarded it out most of the time. Like, I boarded it out against Reanimator. I think I boarded it out against D&T. I kept some against the Bug midrange deck. I boarded it out against Ant, and it, like, obviously it's great against check pile. But if I'm boarding it out so frequently, that probably means that I should play the Cataclysms in the sideboard, if at all. All right, so this was a fun and interesting 4-1 here. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up for tonight. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, and if you enjoy the Death and Taxes archetype and the sort of exploration that I'm doing here, you know, please consider following. And if you really like it, feel free to subscribe. I will have an article coming out up on Thraben University either tomorrow afternoon or evening. Dr. Bill from the chat wrote me a tournament report. He sent it to me last week, and I just had no time to get through it last week with all the stuff I had going on. So I got that mostly done today, and I'll finish the polishing up on it tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and send you over to my friend El Jefe Cubano, who is going to be playing Legacy of some sort. I don't know what he's going to be playing tonight. Good night, folks. I hope you enjoyed.